As women continue to break barriers and redefine leadership across industries, it is crucial to recognize that true empowerment does not lie in mere comparison but in embracing our unique strengths. Today, we celebrate the progress, the challenges, and the boundless potential of women as we discuss what it truly means to be equal yet different. Namaste. On behalf of our chairperson Priya Gazdar and her committee, I, Sujita Chityala, Honorary Secretary of Flow Hyderabad, extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to this thought-provoking session. We are privileged to have with us today an exceptional speaker, Anita Bhogle, a distinguished author and thought leader. We also extend a warm welcome to our esteemed past chairs, special invitees, and fellow Flow members. May I now request everybody to please rise for the national anthem.
Jana Gana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Vanga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Ujjala Jaladhi Taranga तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
I now invite Flow Chairperson Priya Gazdar, our esteemed speaker Anita Bhogle, along with Flow past chairs Rekha Reddy and Manjula Reddy to step forward for lamp lighting. I request Senior Vice Chair Pratibha Kunda also to join. I request EC Head Meenakshi Nahata to take the Business League session forward.
Thank you, Sujita. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Flow Hyderabad, I, Meenakshi Nahata, EC Head of Business League, warmly welcome all of you in the final Business League session of the year. Supporting women-led businesses is key to driving economic growth, fostering innovation, and reducing gender inequality. Women entrepreneurs bring fresh perspectives that lead to creative solutions and inclusive progress. At Flow, we are committed to empowering women in business, creating more opportunities and inspiring future generations. Today, we are honored to have two dynamic entrepreneurs with us. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Naveena and Ms. Pallavi Krishna.
The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision, said Helen Keller. Did you know that most of the child's vision develops in the first 6 months of their life? And that in turn has an effect on the brain development and the milestones of the baby? So, vision is very important for all of us, and we make 80% of the impressions of this world through our eyes, and I consider it a privilege to restore this gift of vision to the needy. Namaste, ladies. I am Dr. Naveena Nacharaju, a practicing ophthalmologist from last 20 years in the city of Hyderabad, and it's an honor to be here today to share my journey in the field of ophthalmology. As a young graduate, specializing in cataract and refractive surgeries, I had one vision, one goal, and one dream. That is to deliver quality eye care to all. And it was then the idea of Clear Vision Eye Hospital was born. At the same time, I had another very important role as a young mother of 2 toddlers. I still remember watching from my hospital window as my children were playing in an adjacent playpen, and I had to keep an eye on them at the same time, develop my hospital step by step, patient by patient. And that was 20 years back. And today, with consistent effort and commitment and actively implementing FDA-approved technology, we at Clear Vision Eye Hospital are providing quality eye care to all. We have patients coming from all walks of life, and we have rendered them with the same amount of care, same level of care, commitment, empathy, and compassion. And we have also established Prerana Charitable Trust to treat the less privileged. Over the last 2 decades, we have had many challenges, and at the same time, we were rewarded too. If I had to say about 3 moments that I'm proud of, that would be, the first one would be continuing the legacy of my grandfather, former Prime Minister of this country, Bharat Ratna, Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu. We have adopted 2 villages under our initiative Prerana, and we have performed 3,000 free cataract surgeries, eliminating the single largest cause of preventable blindness, that is cataract, from these 2 villages. And the second would be, at any point of time, we made sure that in our team, we had 70% women employees, thus contributing our might to the society. And also, I am happy that my daughter is set to join me very soon to take this legacy and service forward. And having been fortunate to be the first lady ophthalmologist in the Telugu states to have started the first refractive surgery center in Hyderabad at a time when women were in the surgeries, women in surgical field were facing a lot of challenges. So as the saying goes, female is the future, has never been more true, and I'm happy to be able to contribute to it. Now a small video showing our services to the community. So I firmly believe that the vision is not just about sight. It is about seeing possibilities, creating impact, and leaving behind a legacy of care. So I thank Priya and her team for giving me this opportunity to show my strength as a woman and my services to this community. Thank you.
That was inspiring, ma'am. Hi, this is Pallavi Krishna. I am back to Flow after 2 years. I had my maternity break. This is my first coming out after the break. I'm very happy to see all the lovely ladies here. I'm representing Tripura Constructions. That's our family business. Just would want to. Yeah. So that's our family-run business. That's the father-in-law, mother-in-law, husband, and myself. We take care of the family business together. We deal with residential projects like apartments, villas, plotting projects, development projects like farm plots, DTCP layouts, and commercial projects. We are also into construction consulting. Our company vision, we want to deliver quality homes to our customers. We are known for our trust in the industry. We are here in the industry for the last 18 years. We've delivered 3 million plus square feet, and 4 million SFT is under construction now, and successfully completed 15 projects. Those are some of our projects, and we have 4,000 plus happy homes. We are known for our quality, competitive pricing, and futuristic locations. These are some of the projects which I wanted to show to some of our ladies, which is highly investment potential. This is one of our 4 acres land plotting projects, which is coming up in Chegunta. It has its own global village, sports village, and a 10 acres wonderful resort. It's very good for investment. It has 30% return on your investment. This is one of our commercial project which is coming up bang on National Highway, Nizamabad and Hyderabad Highway. And this is our pre-launch project, which has attractive pre-launch offer going on now. This is our very famous landmark projects. We have 5 projects in the same Borampet area, known as Landmark 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have the 6th one running now. You can see how the prices have increased from 65 lakhs to almost 2.5 CR now. And this is one of our premium projects, a very well-known vertical forest, which was first in Hyderabad. This is almost in completion stage. We have very good returns for our customers who've invested with us. So these were some of the projects I wanted to show you all today, and that's our contact details. Do get in touch if anybody is looking for investment opportunities in Hyderabad. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Navina and Ms. Pallavi Krishna, for sharing your inspiring journeys with us. As Melinda Gates once said, when we invest in women, we invest in the people who invest in everyone else. At Flow Business League, we are dedicated to supporting and uplifting women entrepreneurs. Thank you, and over to you, Ms. Priya Gazar, for your welcome address.
Fantastic presentations, Dr. Navina and Pallavi, and wish you all the best for your businesses. Speaker of the day, Anita Bhogle. Past chairpersons, Flow Hyderabad, Manjula Reddy and Rekha Reddy. Special invitees, the executive committee, my dear members, good afternoon and namaste. I welcome you to this thought-provoking conversations on a theme that is deeply relevant to all of us, equal yet different. And what better occasion than Women's Day to explore this nuanced perspective on equality. For decades, the conversation around gender equality has centered on the idea of sameness, equal opportunities, equal rights, equal pay. And while these remain non-negotiable, today we recognize that equality is not about being identical. It is about being valued for what makes us unique. We women bring our own perspectives, strengths, and approaches to every sphere, be it business, leadership, innovation, and to the society at large. Our differences are not disadvantages. They are our superpowers. The ability to balance strength with empathy, resilience with adaptability, and ambition with collaboration. These are qualities that enrich not just our lives, but all of those around us, be it family, community, and country, and of course, the world. Flow gives us the platform, the community, the ecosystem itself to be and do all that we desire and aspire to. Over the last 11 months, together at Flow Hyderabad, We have accomplished most everything we set our hearts to, and some more, actually. At our initiative showcase last month, we featured the expansive repertoire of work done by our economic and social impact teams. I would like to acknowledge today and applaud the work done by all our other verticals. And as I call out your names, please come to the front of the stage. The events team handled the seamless execution of 25 events, including speaker sessions, outbound visits, workshops, orientation meetings, and more, with alacrity and agility. Crisis management has become their forte, thanks to the last-minute googlies. Lead Ashya Afsar, who is not there today, and her dynamic team members Indu Agarwal, Hema Bhatia, Renu Agarwal, and Meenal Agarwal. Please come up as I start reading about you all. Don't wait for the names. Please come, Meenal. It's okay. It'll take time. Aa jao. The Connect team brought out a special inaugural issue and 10 digital issues covering all the activities around events, initiatives, special activities of both Flow and Y-Flow in great detail with evocative content, hand-picked imagery, and professional design. The physical edition of the annual magazine is shaping up delightfully. Headed by Bhavna Chopra and supported very ably by Kanika Jain, Neeraja Giri, Amita Karnani, and Neetu Bagga. The social media team worked wonders with our online presence, covering every activity, event, and initiative in great detail. From less than 3,000 at the time of launching Flow Style Tattva to 10,000 by its conclusion, this team's strategy of expanding the follower base was on point and totally effective. They also ran topical campaigns for member engagement and brought home the Winners Award for the highest entries in the Flow National Handlooms Day campaign, spearheaded by Prachi Trivedi Shah with the support of Deepika Malani, Kalpana Yerra, and Ritu Agarwal. Pratibha and team handing over 10,000 followers to you. The membership team has been instrumental in building a vibrant and engaged community. Beyond onboarding through 2 meet and greet sessions between new members and the executive committee, they were able to create a sense of belonging, ensuring members find value and opportunity. They also organized 2 orientation sessions where our past chairs addressed the audience. Team head Gunjan Sindhi, is she traveling? Members Lakshmi Rao, Sarika Burugu, Khushbu Baid, Archana Goyal, and Shruti Garg. The Flow Style Tattva team made it an addition to remember in every aspect, from organization to curation to earnings itself. Their fine attention to detail, smooth handover processes, and the many special features got them applause from vendors and visitors alike. Let's put our hands together for convener and chairperson-elect Pratibha Kunda, co-conveners Padma Somireddy and Sudha Mula, and team members Leher Agarwal, Deepthi Donkeshwar, Rekha Kimti, and Radhika Sriram. A special word of thanks to Rashmi Doshi and Simran Chabra for their guidance. Oh, we had a wonderful team and they are not here today. The Flow Marketplace team has done a stellar job in creating an inclusive and impactful advertising platform. By offering targeted visibility and a seamless digital experience, they have empowered entrepreneurs to showcase their businesses effectively. Their consistent performance has made the platform a valuable resource, driving growth, collaboration, and success within and outside the Flow community, led by Neeru Mohan with Himabindu Kolla and Shruti Tibrewala bringing up the rear. None of them here, but at least that's their work. The Flow Business League team has done an exceptional job in creating a powerful platform for live business pitching, giving entrepreneurs the visibility and opportunities they need to grow. Their efforts have not only strengthened business prospects, but have also fostered confidence, leadership, and collaboration within the Flow community. Meenakshi Nahata, team lead, members Tarang Indrayan Vaish and Deepika Agarwal. This wonderful team ensured that every single person of the 42 members who joined the 4 days annual retreat to Bhopal came back enthralled, energized, and enriched. With 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, meeting with royalty and experiential evenings, the sojourn scored high on the exploration and bonding quotients, making the members go from Why Bhopal to Wow Bhopal and Wow Bhopal. Team lead Shruti Malpani, very actively supported by Pooja Jain, Neha Ganeriwal, Preeti Mishra, and Sonali Goyal. Oh, I thought Pooja came. Achha. And through it all, everywhere, 24/7, was the core committee. The secretariat team, like the persistent heartbeat, making sure everything ran like a well-oiled machine, always just a call away, whether for brainstorming, troubleshooting, coordinating, or even for a midnight gossip session. They were the biggest support. Their energy, commitment, and ability to turn chaos into calm kept the ship sailing smoothly, no matter what. The treasury team, the rock-solid anchor that has kept our finances in check while making sure every deal got the wings it deserved. Masters of numbers and strategy, they brought clarity, balance, and a reassuring sense of control to everything we did. With their sharp thinking and steady hands, they made sure we moved forward with confidence, never having to second guess a financial decision. Honorary Secretary Sujita Chityala, Treasurer Shilpa Raju, Joint Secretary Rashi Agarwal, and Joint Treasurer Sudha Nallaparaju, who also found the time to go and get married. Bringing up the rear were the finance team of Neetu Surana and Rekha Murray, who made sure our marquee events and CSR funds were managed to the T. I would also like to call upon EC members Lalita George, Vandana Shetty, Smita Sanghi, and Maya Patel to join our core and finance support teams and treasury teams here. And Hira Rupani. Please stay. I called her name? Okay. I would be amiss if I did not thank all those who helped me connect with speakers, trainers, or venues through the year. My heartfelt thanks to Rashi Agarwal, Pooja Mitra, Neha Reddy, Mahati Velamati, Sujita Chityala, Sarita Chilakapati, Radhika Agarwal, Shruti Malpani, Hira Rupani, and Rashmi Doshi for helping me out. The selfless mentorship extended through the year by our past chairpersons has been invaluable. My heartfelt gratitude to conveners Rekha Lahoti and Priyanka Ganeriwal Arora, membership mentors Lata Reddy, Padma Rajgopal and Uma Chigurupati, initiative mentors Monica Agarwal and Shubhra Maheshwari, finance mentors Hina Shrivastava and Sona Chatwani, event mentors Vani Subhash and Usharani Manne, Flow Style Tattva mentors Manjula Reddy and Rekha Lahoti, Connect mentors Manjula Reddy and Rekha Reddy, FIP mentors Vani Subhas, Ajita Reddy, Jyotsna Angara, followed now by Hina Shrivastava, Monica Agarwal, Kamini Saraf and Uma Chigurupati. Retreat mentor Kamini Saraf, orientation mentor Ajita Reddy, who's also the joint treasurer at Flow National, and immediate past chairperson Ritusha, for always being a call away. And now, congratulations to this month's stars of Flow Hyderabad, past chairpersons Ajita Reddy and Sona Chetwani, both of who won awards and made Flow Hyderabad very proud. Bookings for edition 5 of Flow Style Tattva are now open. 100 stalls are already booked, so hurry and grab your space and spread the word. Flow National is organizing the Flow MSME Awards to recognize and encourage entrepreneurs with a vision. The announcement has been shared with you all on mail and also by WhatsApp. Do send in your applications ASAP because the last date for entry is 5th March, tomorrow. Please mark your calendars for the upcoming Y-Flow event. And the annual Flow and Y-Flow Change of Guard. Can't believe the year is already drawing to a close. Before I end, I have 2 pieces of sensational news for you. First, our past chairperson, Kamini Saraf, has been elected as Flow National Vice President for 2025-26. She will take over the mantle of President Flow National in 2027-28. Can I hear a resounding round of applause for her, please? And now for the second one. With great passion, purpose, and pride, I would like to share that we are just 2 weeks away from opening the Flow Hyderabad Center of Excellence, a standalone space in Banjara Hills that will double up as the Flow office, space for workshops, trainings, and small events. A labor of love by the 2024-25 Executive Committee, guided tenderly by our PCC. So ladies, no more going anywhere. Any number of people up to 50 or 60 can now please use this Center of Excellence for trainings, workshops, be it for grassroots, be it for us, our members. Anybody of you who want to hire it, also please let us know. Priya. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a lot of work from all of us here. Everybody has pitched in. With that, my thanks to our guest speaker, Anita Bhogle, for so readily sparing the time today to take us beyond the rhetoric and dig deeper into what true equality looks like for us women. I can't wait to begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. We also can't believe that year has flown by. It's just like yesterday. Yeah. This year's initiatives would not have been possible without the generous support of our sponsors, whose contributions have been instrumental in bringing Flow Hyderabad's vision to life. I now call upon stage Ms. Ananda UVL, East West Seed Foundation, to receive the Flow memento. Thank you, Ananda. I now call upon stage Ms. Prachi Trivedi Shah, Swastik Education Initiative, for sponsoring the education initiative to receive the Flow memento.
So Prachi Trivedi Shah's Swastik Education Initiative has sponsored the free Tally Pro course for 350 students across Hyderabad. So that's in 3 schools and colleges, and the certificate ceremony is on 13th.
Thank you, Prachi. I now request Ms. Anita Bhogle, our guest speaker for today, to join Chairperson Priya Gazdar on stage. and Priya to felicitate Miss Anita Bhogle with Flow Memento. I request EC member Lalita George to introduce our guest speaker for today.
Thank you, Sujita. Good afternoon, friends. It is with great pleasure that I have the honor of introducing our speaker for today, Anita Bhogle. Anita is a prolific author and a very successful one indeed. And today, we are going to hear it all. She is married to the well-known cricket commentator Harsha Bhogle, a power couple indeed, and an inspiring example of success and partnership. A postgraduate in statistics from IIT Mumbai and also in management from IIM Ahmedabad, Anita has reinvented herself almost in every decade. Her early years were spent in advertising, market research, and marketing consultancy. For the next 2 decades, she, along with her sports broadcaster husband, Harsha, ran a highly successful motivational series called The Winning Way, Learnings from Sport for Managers. The series translated into a book by the same name, which has sold over 140,000 copies and started a new genre in motivational speaking. Anita went on to set up Biz Pundits, India's first video learning library for managers, which was eventually sold to an ed-tech company. Anita's second book, Equal Yet Different, Career Catalysts for the Professional Woman, is also a national bestseller. Anita has been on the board. In fact, it's selling outside. We can all pick up our copies. Anita has been on the board of governors of IIM Jammu and is part of the advisory board of the Ashank Desai Center for Leadership and Organizational Development. She is also on the advisory board of WLC, Women Leadership Circle. A mother of 2 sons, Anita is a yoga and Sudoku enthusiast and an amateur keyboard player. Thank you. Enjoy the afternoon. Kindly take the session forward, Priya.
Thank you for having me here. It's always interesting to speak to bright and resourceful women. It's also important to have this kind of conversation. And I really hope that the conversations extend far beyond International Women's Day. And then we soon have a time where we don't require International Women's Day.
Absolutely. I think that deserves the loudest round of applause. Because yes, this could be on the occasion of International Women's Day, but it need not be only for that. And there's no need for such conversations. I think that is where we should ultimately arrive. To set the context for today's conversation, Anita, in your book you mentioned Steve Waugh's quote, "As a leader, you need to treat your teammates equally, yet differently." And you also follow it up with your nuggets about certain non-negotiable prerequisites, and then about accommodating without compromising, which I found very interesting. And this is very important, you said, to let stars blossom. So can you elaborate on this?
Sure. So Steve Waugh, as most of you might know, used to be the captain of the Australian cricket team. And he said this in the leadership context, which I have stolen and used as the title for my book, which I will explain why. But basically, he was saying, like I said, in the leadership context, because many of you might be leaders here, you need to run a team as a unit, right? So there needs to be a kind of a blueprint of how you run the team. And every team would have, some stars, some people who are freshers, so a mix of talent. But there need to be certain common rules, common work ethic, and the non-negotiables, like, I've called it. So the non-negotiables are things like honesty, integrity, hard work. Now, these are common to the whole team, right? So whoever you might be, because, in our part of the world, somewhere, there's a lot of people are very starstruck. So you would have seen even I don't know whether you worked in agencies, you run your own, but, in creative lines and things, people just turn up late. Or they don't want to do paperwork. Or they don't turn up at all. And COVID, so many people realized that, that people not turning up at all. And they could get away because they thought they were stars. So this sense of entitlement is there. But you can't run a team like that. And so there needs to be a common, rules for people. But yet within that, you can't deny the fact that some people are what we would call in sport match winners, right? And a leader needs to keep them happy because the day they perform is the day you win, right? So how do you balance this, treating people equally and yet differently? So sometimes, you should give them that little leeway, make them feel good. If they're particular about certain things. Some people want to be left alone before a presentation. Some of the bowlers would like to bowl from a certain end. It's their favorite, or, things like that. So they should be allowed that so that they are put in a good mood and then they perform and it gives the team best chance to win. So basically that is what he meant by equally yet differently. And in 2004, somebody pointed out to me or made a casual remark saying, this is so true for women, that we also want to be treated equally yet differently. There is no doubt at all that women are equal, especially in terms of, ability or even ambition to start off with. But somewhere down the line, we kind of lose our way or lose our focus or get, just absorbed into all kinds of things. And therefore, we are different because, our conditioning is different, our challenges are different. And that's why I stole Steve Waugh's thought and put it as the title, for the story. So that's what makes it interesting. The problem only is when people think that being different is being less equal. That is really at the root cause. People think you're different, so you're not, because the rules are made for the majority. And then it happens for any kind of minority that, you seem to be less equal, you have less rights and things like that. That's where it is. So it's not only about being treated equally, but also about being equal, about believing that you're equal, about behaving like you're equal, and that is really at the heart of equal and different. Yeah.
You said something just now that, somewhere down the line, we tend to lose focus. Did you mean that we lose focus or we are drawn into so many other things as part of our natural, aging?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, we are all career women, very focused. Then we get married. Yeah. Then there is that little bit of extra responsibility. Then you are a mother, even more responsibility. Right? So did you mean those things when you said that?
Yeah, most certainly. Other responsibilities, we get sucked into all these. And society also expects you, the family expects you to do all that. So, you might look like an equal candidate at the starting point, but somewhere down the line, people get the feeling, sometimes it's true, and sometimes people make assumptions, saying that, no, she's got a family to look after, their children are young, and things like that. And maybe she would look for softer things in her career.
So do you think that is true?
That is true. Like I said, women also are like that, and I don't blame them. Somebody has to look after the family. But even when, especially today's women, they have a lot of support from parents and things. So organizations shouldn't be making this kind of assumption saying they may not be wanting challenging jobs, they may not be wanting travel, they may not be wanting, they can't manage it. Women are always asked this question, can you handle it? Can you handle it? Men are never asked this question.
Absolutely, and I think that is our biggest, problem, right? When you go into a career, when you're sitting at an interview, if somebody says you have a family, you have a child, can you handle it? Most of us smart at that question. We really don't like
Nobody
that
likes,
question.
only women ask this question, or about work-life balance. Somehow men think only about work most of the time. Women have to think about work-life balance.
You quote Matthew Mott, coach of the T20 World Cup winning team of Australian women's cricket, as saying, if you are talking to a room full of female athletes and you make a generic statement, every female will think you are talking directly to her. If you do the same in a male dressing room, the players will nod and agree and think You're talking about the idiot beside him. So do you put this down to our social conditioning, our need for validation by all, even that last 5% in the room?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is coming from a coach who has coached male and female teams. And this is observation, everybody laughs first, but when there's a great truth over there that we are constantly, conditioned to please everybody, that validation is always required. You got to comply, you got to obey. These subtle messages come to us in our childhood, that women have to be sasural jana hai, it'll be different, things like that. It's much less now, but it's getting more subtle. But at the back of your mind, it's always there that you got to adjust, you got to fit in, you got to compromise. So that conditioning is always there. And therefore, I think women take feedback very seriously, very personally. Whereas men just come through as confident, as, something is happening, there's noise happening in the background. But women take it seriously, and if any of you are leaders, because these days all teams are very diverse, so how you give feedback to men and to women is very different. Which is, I am very happy when leaders read my book, because many of these messages are really for them, right? Half your team is of women, so you should understand where they are coming from and what makes them tick and what are the kind of challenges that they have.
Thank you. Falguni Nair was on our guest list this year, but she couldn't adjust her schedule. So we will do the next best thing. We will ask you to decode her success mantra, because she and you were classmates in IIM Ahmedabad.
Yeah. So Falguni and I go back 40 years, really, and she's done really well for herself, as have many others, but she is very visibly successful. And when you think back, she was just like any of us, very middle class, hardworking, very serious-minded, things like that. But this book has given me a chance not only to reflect on my journey, but also speak to many people like Falguni, where, otherwise you won't get a chance to talk to them about, what they did differently and, their thinking process and things like that. So I actually did a formal interview with her on Zoom, and then I asked her, Falguni, what would you put down, attribute your success to? And she also married a batchmate like I did. So we were quite similar in many ways. And she used a word, ziddi. She says, I'm very ziddi. So it's really something between being determined and also being stubborn. And then she went on to tell me that how she was always very clear about what she wanted, which many people are, but she also shared that, dream with her mother and with her husband and people around her, her boss and, people around. So few women do that. When you do that, people know. A lot of times we just assume that people will know that I'm good, so, of course I am ambitious. No, people don't always know that. So she was very good at articulating that. She always told people what she wanted. This is what I want. And other friends who know her better than I do say that she also knew how to, she was very tactful. So she could manage all those things. And, she said a lot of times, because she's so busy, she can't attend family functions. Or she was telling me about her mother-in-law shifting house, and she said, obviously I couldn't go to Delhi and get that done. But she got it organized through somebody. So she can say no very nicely, which is a skill that I think a lot of women could do with.
Yes.
That you have to say no, but you also have to say no nicely. So I think that is one of her strengths as well. And more than anything else, I think she's taken risks that a lot of people shy away from. So she went to Delhi to set up an office when she had no experience of doing anything like that. Because, setting up an office, it requires a lot of legal knowledge and, compliances and doing that, especially because she worked with a bank. And she said she had no experience. Husband got transferred to London, so she also went. But she said yes to the Kotak. Yes, I will set it up. Or when she started doing this cosmetics business, she had no clue about how to do it. Of course, she did her homework and whatever, but to get into an alien space, it can be very challenging. So she has taken risks, but she also knows what her limitations are. So for example, she said, I haven't been able to give that much focus on fitness and things like that, which she realizes, or that she misses out on, social functions. So she knows that. I think that is the key to success, being sorted in your head. This is what my priority is, this is what I want.
Absolutely, and I do agree, and I think the whole hall would agree that to say no tactfully, all of us need to somehow practice that and get it into our psyche. Say no tactfully, without hurting. And prioritize yourself sometimes, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Anita, in your Winning Way series with husband Harsha Bhogle, you use the line, don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. I found this very simple, but very profound.
Yeah, I've used it in both books, actually. Because we wrote it there and then, because it's not only a line, it's a philosophy.
I want you to explain this in the context of your life.
Sure. So, let me quickly take you through examples. It works for organizations as well. So, for example, if you see an Indian bank, they will say all the foreign banks, they have a lot of money. They have big budgets to make customers happy. Whereas the foreign banks will say, oh, your SBI, Bank of Baroda have such a network, we don't have that. Right? Or pharmaceutical companies, you have lots in Hyderabad. The Indian companies will say, oh, those guys have, a lot of R&D budgets and things like that, the MNCs. And the MNCs will say, no, these guys can get away with anything. We have to follow very stringent regulations. So every time, there is this thing about, oh, it's easy for somebody else, but it's not so easy for me. Or somebody else has something and somebody else doesn't have. And it works for people as well. So for my husband, because he didn't play first-class cricket, everybody, even now, asks him, how much cricket have you played? Yeah, although he's been rated #1 commentator in many, many surveys, people still ask him, how much cricket have you played? How much cricket have you played? And it bothered him for a long time. And then he sorted out and said, in the commentary box, I'm not playing cricket with them, right? And I've got skills that other people don't have. So I have a pleasant face, I have a pleasant voice, I can communicate better, etc., etc. So instead of focusing on what you don't have, you should focus on what you have. And the same thing for me, because, I didn't have family support in Mumbai. My father was in the police and they kind of settled down in Pune. My in-laws lived in Hyderabad. I didn't have siblings. And a husband traveled. So there was no support really. But then I figured out a long time ago, okay, let me put aside all these things which can actually be convenient excuses. You can sit back and say, husband's earning enough, we're doing well, and I have so many excuses, so many constraints, so I needn't do anything. And a lot of people do that. But instead I chose to focus on, okay, what else can I do? So I started a home office in the late 90s. At a time where, working from home or having a home office or, flexibility and stuff like that were not terms in the corporate lingo. Yeah, so I did that. So you'll find this working for everybody, for every person, for every team. Instead of making every organization, instead of making excuses, focus on what you can do.
Absolutely, totally agree with that. In the same book, you categorize people into stretch players and slack players. Can you illustrate that concept?
Sure. So in the Winning Way, basically, we have described, what we call a winning triangle. It's the recipe for success. Yeah. So it's about ability, attitude, and passion. And why is it a triangle? So ability is at the bottom, which is most widespread. Most people have ability. So what is ability? Accounting skills can be ability. Coding can be ability. If you are a musician, then playing music can be an ability. Or any work-related functional skill is ability, right? And most people have it, so that's at the bottom. Above that is attitude. What is attitude? Attitude means your work ethic. Are you hardworking? Are you disciplined? Do you look at detail? Are you a good team player? Do you play with others? So that is what ability is, what attitude is. And on the very top is passion, which you will find that all the champions have. They're absolutely passionate about what they do. And when I say champion, it's not only in sport. In everything, you will find entrepreneurs also extremely passionate, extremely immersed in what they're doing, right? So let's leave aside passion, but there is a marriage of ability and attitude. So ability, in a way, is God-given, right? You're born with a certain ability. I'm terrible at art. So however much I try, I'm not going to be able to do that. But I have other abilities, right? So ability is God-given, but attitude is really in your own hand. So if you decide that I want to be focused, I want to be disciplined, I want to work hard, then, that's your attitude. And people can change over the years also, so if you understand. Now, those who marry ability and attitude, marry in the sense that they do well and, their ability looks better than what it actually is. And those who have negative attitude actually get pulled down. So when you use terms like overachieve or underperform, what is it? That there is a certain expectation, right? And then either you have stretched that ability or you've been slack and therefore you have underachieved. So that is the play between ability and attitude. So if you have ability, attitude and passion, then I think you're very well placed to do well. And you observe anybody in any field, whether it's a chef or a musician or a sports player or a corporate person, you will find these qualities in them.
So what would you peg yourself as?
In many ways, stretch, because I think it's only my attitude really, which was about not accepting the constraints, about a certain restlessness to do something and use my qualification, my intelligence well. I think I definitely would put myself in a stretch category.
I think we would all agree, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, you can't do well.
And what do you say about the current generation? If you had to, you must be employing some youngsters and all.
I think in
what do you think about their attitude?
In any population, you have stretch and slack players. So I wouldn't say that any generation is different. I think this younger generation is far more sorted than we are. And they are far more confident, far more articulate than us. And they are a different generation, and somehow I'm not very happy with people saying that, they are like indisciplined or not working hard. I think we need to understand that, we grew up among constraints. The economy had constraints. It was difficult to get a loan to go and study or set up something. These people are carrying around, so many job opportunities in their pockets. They can just throw away a great job and, figure out for themselves. The parents have done well. People like us have set up our children so they can take a break here, they can go hiking to Europe, and they can do things like that, right? So they are a different generation. How can you expect them to, be like us? So I think it's wrong to judge them.
My question actually was, because we are seeing so much of a startup culture. Also, we are seeing, because you also come from from the branding background, there is no stickiness nowadays, be it to a job, be it to something as simple as a product. Yeah. So I was just asking you whether you see, how does this whole stretch thing work with them? Is it time-based? Do you think one needs to spend a lot of time, a number of years to be a stretch player?
No, not really. But I think in certain situations, So for example, the New Zealanders look at us. And New Zealand is a very small country, right? So there are more sheep than there are people. So every time New Zealand people come to India, they say, my God, what talent. And I worked a lot in sports, so a lot of my examples come from sport. And today is like India, Australia, so let's see whether our team is stretching or not. But, they come and say, you all have got so much talent. So our people become different because they got to fight for everything, right? Fight for admissions, fight for this. Whereas their people, there's very few this thing. So they have to make the best or whatever they have. So they automatically become stretch people. So I think people are product of their times also. But within that, yes, the attitude is different. Yeah, I mean, would you say that people are more loyal earlier than today? What is loyalty, right? Some people actually, because I used to run this library, a lot of marketing people said there's something called positive attrition. Meaning if the bottom in your team leave, it's actually better for you, right? Because what is this loyalty? Then they're just sticking to your company because they can't find another job. Whereas today's generation can. So so it's a matter of that really.
Thank you for putting that in perspective. And there was this line in your book that I simply loved. The burden is not on women to be empathetic, and it is not on men to be aggressive. Indeed, leadership has always been portrayed as heavily gendered. Can you decode this for us?
Yeah, definitely leadership has been gendered. And it's not because men and women are different kinds of leaders, really. I think there are only good leaders and bad leaders. Of course, we are conditioned differently, and so there are inherent strengths and weaknesses, but I don't think they define your leadership in a way. So, what did you ask? Is it gendered? Yeah. So the default leadership model is male. When you shut your eyes and you say driver, you say carpenter, you say leader, there's a male imagery, right? There might be women drivers, but the imagery is male. So even when you think leader, the imagery is male, and so you think of somebody who's very much in control, very aggressive and things like that. Whereas the stereotypically feminine traits like empathy, which is actually good, right? Or being soft and polite, which are also in most situations positives, but they're seen as weak leadership traits. So if somebody is like that, because the imagery is so male, people think this. Of course, things are changing, and now you have the complete man, and you have alpha women, and the new generation is different. People are talking EQ. So all this is happening, but we are a society in transition, and so we are really seeking answers to many things. And when the number of women kind of grows, then I think these stereotypes will also come down. But as of now, because of this, it seems very gendered. It seems gendered.
You spoke about the emotional quotient. So can you tell us how this is very important in the corporate structure? And is it, again, is that burden on women to bring that emotional quotient into it? Or are men also kind of now thinking about, emotional quotient and adding it to the value that they bring to any organization?
Yeah, men are thinking about it now, because I think people have realized that leadership is all about managing people and getting the best out of people. And if you don't have empathy, if you don't have EQ, then you can't. You can't do that. So the command and control kind of style of leadership is gone now. Also, I think in a lot of technology companies, the young people are really, the smartest. So many things have changed. The dynamics within a team have changed. So the leader is not always the most experienced or the most valuable person. Sometimes you have young people who are the most valuable. So things have changed. So leadership models have also changed. It's more a shared leadership. There's more like a think tank. So things have changed, yeah, definitely.
I love what you just said, that the leader may not be the most valuable person in the company.
Yeah. More and more people are saying, that you have to surround yourself with people who are better than you. Earlier it was, one voice in the boardroom and nobody else could talk.
Right.
Now it's not like that. Now you've got to listen to everybody because you don't know, and it's going to be a key leadership skill going forward. That the ability to learn from anybody, whether they are less educated than you, whether they are much younger than you, that is going to be very, very important. And same for entrepreneurs. You don't know where the next bright idea is coming from.
Absolutely, and we have so many in this room. big applause for yourselves, girls. Everybody doing well in their in their businesses, their professions. Everybody leading, companies and taking care of their family so beautifully, multitasking, which again is not such a great word and not something to be burdened with, but
I
still.
think it is a burden. Yeah, it's a burden on women, the multitasking business.
And this whole thing about I have to do it 100% well, like that last 5%, please everybody. I think these are some things that we should not burden ourselves with. We can slip sometimes, we can make mistakes, we can put off things, and I don't think we should be harsh on ourselves.
Absolutely, and that leads to a lot of guilt.
Yeah, so the guilt.
You've read the book, right? There's a whole chapter on guilt.
Yes. So we'll actually read an excerpt out of that if you can.
Sure.
Just after this. So somehow this is, tying up with that. The common notion even today is that women can either be good mothers or good professionals. The construct suggests an either or situation and not an and situation, to negate which we tend to multitask beyond a reasonable point. So how do you think we can change our own mindset to stop taking that guilt trip so often?
That is, this either or business is one of the things that came as a big surprise to me, because even I learned a lot of things while writing the book, because I spoke to so many women. And, I asked women who their role models were. And many of the women I spoke to didn't think that the most successful women were their role models. Yeah. Meaning they didn't want to be there because they thought that, if you have to achieve that level, then I will have to compromise. And, my home won't be run properly, my children won't be looked after well enough. So they weren't role models. So even in women's own mind, this either or business is there. And you'll see it all over in, society. So many times in matrimonial things, people will say, I don't want a girl who's so career-minded. What does that mean? Ghar sambhalna hai, right?
Homely.
First, ghar sambhalna hai. After that, you have to manage whatever you do.
I think homely is the word they use.
Forget homely. Now at least, that is a little more old-fashioned. They want a girl to do everything. But do something of her own. But first, you look out of the home and then you do that. So that feeling that, men work for the family and women work for themselves. That the responsibility of putting the food on the table is the man's. And this is a very complex issue, A lot of times women see themselves, and so do organizations, they see them as secondary breadwinners. I've had women say that, my husband's salary is bread and butter and mine is jam. The problem with being jam, and it sound, funny, what happens when the economy slumps? Jam goes out of the window first, right? And that's how in COVID we saw that more women lost their jobs. Because unless you are in a client-facing, a P&L kind of a job, you are more dispensable. Yeah, absolutely. So that always happens.
So what should we do? How do we prepare ourselves to be that non-disposable link in the corporate chain?
So one of the issues there is really that, a lot of women seem to take up jobs which are convenience-based. Yeah, it's close to my house, it doesn't involve travel, it doesn't involve long hours. This is something I can manage. My work-life balance will be right. Yeah, nothing wrong in the thought, but it's just that if you take up 3-4 assignments like that, then you make yourself a very weak leadership candidate. Because everybody else, when they look at leadership, they will say, what kind of markets have you handled? What kind of clients have you handled? Have you held P&L? A HR person is never going to be a CEO only because you never held P&L, right? So when that happens, you've made yourself a very weak leadership candidate. So if you are serious about your career, then you cannot just make choices based on convenience. You've got to put yourself out there, take up challenges, make yourself uncomfortable, learn, invest in yourself. All these take time. All these take energy. If you say that, no, I want to finish my work and go home, then you are not in a position, you don't have the time to invest in yourself. In today's world, everybody, you have to keep on, reinventing yourself. You got to add skills, you got to reskill. That is the key now, reskilling. So if you don't do that, you're not getting anywhere.
So ladies, sign up for the next ISB or IIM course or the Independent Women Directors course that Flow brings you.
Yeah.
You heard that, right?
Yeah, and put yourself out there. And because there are so many entrepreneurs, I'm telling you this through experience and through seeing other people. A lot of times, couples are entrepreneurs together, like they're in the same venture. Often because the people are young, they have young children. So the man looks after sales, business development, and things like that. And the woman kind of says, okay, I'll manage the office and I'll, do things that involve less travel and things. It's a great balance from the couple's point of view. But people soon get to know the man. And they start calling it the man's business. Now, after 8 years, you say, oh, my children are grown up, now I want to be the front for the organization. It doesn't happen. So you might think it's a great balance, but you lost out. In my case also the same thing happened. Of course, I have the added disadvantage that my, sorry, that my husband is in a job of high visibility. But when we started the winning way, a lot of people started calling it Harsha's talk. Okay? And for a few years in between, I didn't go and present. I used to do all the content, but then that's not a visible part of the work, right? And he would go and present because that involved, okay, anybody invites you, you go to wherever. And that was convenient for us. Now, after the children kind of grew up and both of us were like on stage and we, kind of spoke as a pair, people were still calling it Harsha's talks. And that hurt somewhere, it's not fair. And in all fairness, my husband would always say, because, I got asked this question, do you help your husband? Or do you work with your husband? And he would say, no, actually I work with her. Which was on paper correct, but people don't get it. And people think that, oh, what a sweet husband, he's giving all the credit to the wife. But if the wife says it, no, actually it's my business and whatever, then they say, oh, what a pushy wife. Right? So then slowly I started pushing the name more, and there's a story in the book where I talk about, how we put our photo on the cover of the book. And initially we were very hesitant because we are very low profile people and we didn't want to put our photo on the book. But that helped me a lot. So put yourself out there, especially the entrepreneurs. Get your clients to know you.
That's a big learning. Yeah. From customer is king to consumer is queen, marketing and advertising has come a long way. How serious do you think is India Inc. about gender diversity? Or is it more about compliance, such as hiring women in what you just mentioned as non-client facing or non-revenue generating roles just to project better gender optics?
Yeah, so DEI is really a science and an art. Yeah, so the science bit is about, the numbers, hiring people and, seeing, okay, what percentage of your middle management has women or whatever other diversity. I've written about women, but now diversity is a much bigger canvas. Whereas the art is really about creating the culture of inclusion. So inclusion is really about the feeling of belonging and having a voice. And that can only come with having people in very visible, in very prominent roles within the company. If you are handling a back office, or if you are in roles like HR or IT, which are not front-facing, then you kind of make up for numbers. Organizations cheat a little bit because now there's compliance and everybody's saying, "Okay, what are your diversity scores?" So they want to show it off. They want to be with the world. So they hire people like that, hire women like that, and pad it up. But you don't have enough women leaders. Why do you not have women leaders? Because you don't have people who will make it to that cut, because you've filled all the women in positions that are not taking you to leadership positions. So diversity alone doesn't work. It has to have inclusion with it, right? So there are companies that are doing it. I mean, wherever I go, there are easy ways of ensuring inclusion. So for example, Airtel very recently said, we are not going to appoint a distributor who doesn't have a proper washroom set up for women. So if a woman salesperson cannot go, then we are not going to hire. That's a simple thing to do. There are some companies which say, because most of the time it's the salespeople who have a difficulty. People who work in corporate offices don't have so much of a problem. Then they give them a higher scale. So if a man gets a certain grade of hotel, they give the woman a slightly higher this. Now it's not big cost. It's not something that men would oppose or anything like that, or create a ruckus within the organization. But there has to be a certain commitment, a personal commitment to drive these kind of initiatives. There need to be advocates within the organization who will call out bias and say, no, this is not right. You have to give everybody a voice. So like I said, numbers okay, but you need a sense of belonging, you need a certain voice within the organization. Only then will diversity initiatives work. And I think the media has a big role in that, right? If you see advertising these days, you'll see, or even films. Look at Lapta Ladies, for example. What powerful messaging there is, right? Or I was watching a Marathi movie recently, and there's a guy who's trying to get married. So he's an older guy and he's trying to get married and he's seeing so many girls. And then he's going out to see this girl and his sister says to him, the girl's name is Gayatri Desai or something like that. And she just says, "Oh, what a pretty name. I hope you don't get her to change it." So subtle messaging like that has to work because it's very deep-rooted conditioning that we are trying to encounter. So society is going to change, but change slowly, one by one. So you need this kind. So media and advertising, I think, has a big role to play. And diversity, DEI initiatives have also got to survive economic downturn, because in good times it's nice to talk about it. So a lot of people talk about all this, but walking the talk is something that's difficult because finally all these initiatives come at a cost, at an effort. Like I said, it has to be driven by somebody or the other. So that is, I think, important. And with Trump's new decision to, kind of roll back all these things, you never know what kind of effect it's going to have on countries like India also.
Right. From that nice and heavy and very erudite, very deep conversation, I'll ask you a very simple question.
Okay.
Seemingly simple, at least.
Okay.
Part of which you have answered because you married your batchmate.
Yeah.
You work together. But in the book, you have very clearly said that you take the business decisions. And in case of a disagreement or a conflict, your word is the final call.
Yeah.
Now, how has it been having your spouse as your business partner? And what are the house rules for this very successful professional partnership? And what does it mean on the personal side?
Yeah, so a lot of people have asked me this question, which makes me feel that maybe it is a common issue or something that causes a problem for people. A lot of people have asked me, how is it to work with your husband? And frankly, I've had no problem with him at all. Like I said, both of us are slightly low on ego, and we respect and trust each other, which I think the basis of a good partnership in any field. And right from the beginning, we had very clear-cut roles. So he knows what he's supposed to do, I know what I'm supposed to do, and we decided that somebody has to take the shot. So I'm the person who's the senior partner, and I'm going to take the decisions. And we have stuck to that. So when the rules are clear-cut and you're not treading on each other's toes, then I think it works. I wouldn't say the same thing about other people. Because like I said, people have this thing of saying, oh, do you work with your husband? And, do you support him? Or do you, and ridiculous questions like that, which can get to you on a bad day. Most of the times you feel, these people are of no consequence in my life, so never mind. You can't change the world and there are bound to be idiots. But yeah, I mean, for women, if you read my book, you'll find at various points I've recommended having a thick skin. It's very important. Because a lot of people quit jobs also because somebody made some comment or somebody made you feel inadequate. A lot of people have this, including your own children. So you have to have a thick skin. So people ask these kind of questions, but when you persist and people see your work, and then you do these little things like, putting yourself out there, putting your photo, putting your name, being there on camera, never saying no. That's one thing I learned from my husband. And I think you should always see how men behave. So he would, if there is an opportunity, he says yes first, and then he backs himself to figure out how he's going to do it. Whereas I find for myself and with many women, we start saying, hoga kya? Do I have the time? Will I be able to do a good job? We think so much that sometimes the opportunity goes away. So those are the kind of things you need to learn from men. They can be great allies and you can learn things from them. So it's never been a problem with him, sometimes with people, but I think you can get over things like that. So these are the rules really. Separate roles, respect, trust. What else? That's about it.
Decisions are taken by you?
Yeah. When we got married, my husband said to me, all your money is yours and all my money is also yours. Which sounded very sweet and romantic at that age, but let me tell you, it means that you handle all the nonsense, you handle all the money and all the problems that come with it. The headache is also yours. But anyway, yeah, I take all the decisions.
Congratulations and great work on that. You conclude the book with pointers on the winning mindset.
Yeah.
So can you share some of them with us?
Sure. So, when I did all these 90 plus interviews, I said, what is it that's common? Do I see any commonality between this? Because people are different, everybody has a different story, everybody's situation is different. But given all that, are there things that people do similarly? And that is what I call the winning mindset. Because finally, when the tagline for my book is career catalysts for the professional woman. And catalysts can be, people, it can be situations, and it can be mindsets. And I think mindset is the one that is the big one in the whole thing. So I found a couple of common traits. One is that I think, and when I say successful, I'm saying it in a very traditional sense, that, people who have got to the top of their profession, or they've made an impact, or they've made a name, or things like that, which somebody might argue and say that's not success. I mean, finally, anybody can be successful and whatever. But this is the way I have come. Somewhere you have to draw a line. I find that successful people are very committed to excellence. And a lot of women have these careers where they kind of take a break, like somebody was saying, maternity leave, right? Or longer breaks, or do, something more flexi time, part-time, whatever. But in all this journey, they are very committed to excellence, and they are very bothered about the reputation that they make. Because, reputation is really created when you don't realize other people are looking at your work, right? So you cannot let that slip. So always have this good reputation put in excellence, because it's like a fixed deposit. You can encash it sometime. So think of that as an investment. So that is one of the things, commitment to excellence. The second is about priority. It's a word that comes very often, and we talked about it. I think the whole thing is about giving yourself priority, which means that, when somebody gets transferred, or, when somebody is looking at opportunities, it cannot always be the man who takes the opportunity. Sometime he has to be able to say, okay, this opportunity is coming your way, you take it, and I will kind of step back a little bit. Yeah, it's not very easy for a man, but a woman has to ensure that she doesn't every decision doesn't go in favor of the man. Or when people are getting transferred or, relocating, see that your career is also safeguarded. So it's not about being selfish, but it's about what I like to call guarding the I within the we. Because women are very great team players. They always want to, I'm there. And it's not enough for the man to say, I couldn't have done it without her. Yeah, that is all okay, but what about her career? Right? So guarding that. So giving yourself priority, not being very hard on yourself, because a lot of times women try to be these perfectionists, and you can't be. Sometimes you go wrong, it's fine. And when you go wrong, don't beat yourself. Have a thick skin, be kind to yourself. So that is also one of the things. The third thing which I find very interesting is that these women don't let go of a good thing when they see it. Whether it's a husband, whether it's a boss, whether it's a maid, like you were talking about, your cook who you held on to for 36, because these are really your support systems. So when you see a good thing and know a good thing, hold on. That is also one of the things. What else have I said in winning mindset? Yeah, these are like common things really. But you have to put them in a context.
Thank you so much. And before we open the floor to the audience to ask you questions, if you had to read 2 excerpts out of this book, which one would you pick, and can you please read them out?
Okay. Why don't you suggest which are the ones you liked? Because
I have made
it's like
questions
choosing
out
children,
of the chapters
between
that
children.
I liked most.
Okay.
Yes. So I want to know what you liked best, because I gave you 10 questions from what I liked most.
Okay. What working from home I could
What
read.
your father-in-law challenged you.
Okay. So the first one is called the recalibration of ambition. I think somebody asked about this as well. Goa during the rains is at its most beautiful, and the monsoon of 2017 found us there, if only on work and only for a day. Harsha and I had just finished a presentation that had lasted almost 2 hours, one of a few hundred that we have done over the last 2 decades. One of the most stimulating parts of our work is that it has given us the opportunity to understand a bit about a wide cross-section of businesses. One day we would be speaking to insecure IT managers in their 40s, struggling to stay relevant while leading teams of bright 25-year-olds who think they know more than their bosses. On another day, it could be a highly successful FMCG company caught napping and missing a major trend while they got overconfident and arrogant because of their earlier successes. Over the years, I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation with clients who have not only offered deep insights about the challenges that companies face, but have also gone on to become good friends in the process. This time, our point of contact was the Chief Marketing Officer, a bright and confident lady of about 35. It was apparent that she had done very well for herself, and on this occasion seemed rather pleased that the event had been very well received. She had planned it, so she was very happy that it was well received. There was a heavy downpour, and as we walked briskly towards lunch, she caught up with me. "Can I ask you something?" she asked, in a voice which for the first time sounded a bit hesitant. I thought she wanted to discuss something about leadership, the topic of our talk. She was, after all, ideal leadership material, as I had already noted. "How do you manage work and home?" she asked instead. She and her equally busy and successful husband were under considerable pressure from both their families about contemplating an addition to the family. She couldn't figure out how she would find time to have a baby, with a busy marketing plan for the next 18 months already chalked out. It was a classic work-life balance issue that was weighing her down. It is an issue that nags every working couple today, and it was more challenging than any product launch or brand campaign that she had ever handled. "Even if I become a CEO, but I don't have kids, my mother will still see me as an unsuccessful person. And my mother's approval is important to me," she confided. Research studies have consistently shown that men and women start off their careers with comparable levels of ambition. As marriage and children happen, the idealism of youth makes way for practical realism, and women tend to recalibrate their ambition. Typically, this starts happening around the age of 35. Children start requiring more attention, spouses become busier in their careers, and parents are not as young as they used to be. There is no shying away from the fact that in most societies, women continue to be the primary and often sole homemakers and caregivers. You can focus on your career wholeheartedly only when you have the peace of mind that comes with an efficiently run home and reliable care for the young kids or aged parents. Work-life balance is therefore the stepping stone, sort of prerequisite to a successful career. With professional lives being as demanding as they are, work-life balance is not merely about managing time during a hectic period, but an ongoing and constantly evolving exercise to achieve a state of equilibrium. Maybe I could talk about work from home. Any people who work from home? No. Okay, this is about, I already mentioned working from home, right? How I started my work office. So, my father-in-law, who we called Bappa, was a professor of French in Hyderabad. He was always amused and a bit worried that neither Harsha nor I had regular jobs and would never get a pension. My in-laws were both teachers at the university. I have been self-employed for the better part of my life, and so I set up an office from home well before working from home became the norm. The idea that one doesn't leave home for work was itself alien to Bappa, coming from a generation that dressed formally to the single job that they held all their lives and was uncomfortable not shaving even on holidays. So he found it very difficult to believe, how is this going to work out? Bappa and I had a fairly formal relationship. So around 20 years ago, soon after we moved into a new home, I was surprised to see him throw at me what seemed like a challenge. Let me give you the background. When we managed to buy our own home in South Mumbai, before we turned 40, Bappa was very proud of our success. And I suspect a little less worried about the pension bit. While house hunting, we had a condition that the new residence should accommodate a small home office and an entrance separate from the residence. We were delighted when we managed to find something that fitted the bill. It was not like we didn't run a home office from the old house, but since we were already in that apartment before we decided to work out of it, we had to make do with using the room that was most convenient. Now that the requirement of a separate entrance had been met, he was curious to know how it would play out. Over the years, he had seen me juggle work and kids and wondered if the new arrangement would be any different. A small detail that I had overlooked but hadn't escaped Bappa's eye was that the office was bang next to my bedroom. So apart from the external entrance, there was a connecting door from my bedroom. Now he wanted to know if I would dress formally and have clear-cut office hours, or if I would just saunter through the office in my home clothes even late at night. Bappa was trying to get a sense of the exact challenge that we are now facing with the more recent work from home situation. And so he challenged me with rupees 3,000 thrown in as a bet. I don't know whether he thought I won or lost eventually, because I never dared to ask.
Thank you so much, Anita. That was really wonderful and very, very evocative. Sujita?
Thank you, ma'am, for this insightful and thought-provoking session. Your words have reinforced the importance of embracing our individuality while striving for equality, and your research-backed perspectives have given us the tools to navigate our professional and personal lives with confidence. The floor is now open for question and answers. I request members to keep the question small and limit to only one question, please.
Hi, ma'am. Thank you so much. Your talk today has given us a lot to think about. And there are a lot of things that we do think and we face. So as women, when we go into the workplace, there are a lot of automatic assumptions that you were talking about, how, okay, what she can do, will she get married, will she take a maternity, whatever, all of that happens, and I understand. But when you're a leader, in that perspective, if you suddenly become blind to, the gender of the person and start expecting the same work that you would expect from a male counterpart, suddenly the woman in us again starts thinking, oh no, I need to, what will my family say, what will my parents say, or whatever. All these other aspects also comes into play. So as a leader, how do you kind of find that balance and having to expect the same thing and still be, conscious about not expecting the same thing from a woman? How do we balance that?
So I think one has to look at one situation. All women are not the same, right? So somebody has a good support system at home. Somebody doesn't. Somebody is very ambitious and says, I'll do whatever it takes, right? Because finally, these are all choices one makes. Whether to get married is a choice, whether to have children, how many children, at what stage, at what age. All these are decisions and choices that you've made, right? So I'm only saying that it shouldn't be a blanket assumption that somebody will not be able to manage. In corporate parlance, there is a term, co-create the decision, which means you talk to the person and say, okay, this is the opportunity or this is the choice of roles that you have. Which one do you think you would like to have? Okay? So you're throwing the ball in the woman's court and saying, okay, this comes with all this. This will require you to do X, Y, Z. This would require you to do A, B, C. Now you take your pick, right? So the onus of, the job is on the woman. She might say, at this stage, my kids are too young and I don't want to, whatever. Fair enough, that's her choice. Yeah? So, somebody else might say, no, I want this. I want the more challenging one, but I'm not willing to compromise. So, really, it's about co-creating. It's about giving everybody equal opportunity without making assumptions. Because sometimes, it's a term I've used, corporate kindness. People make these assumptions and they actually believe that they're looking after the woman's interest, which I'm not questioning the intent, but like I said, in the short term when you look after all this, in the long term you're losing out because of leadership. And that is something that has to be explained to the woman. Saying, okay, you take this job, but I'm just telling you that unless you have ticked all these boxes, later on, you can't say, oh, why wasn't I made the leader? Or why didn't I get this role? You didn't get this role because you didn't do the hard yards. Unless you put in the effort, like for example in FMCG, unless you've done a factory assignment, unless you've done a sales stint, unless you've done P&L, you cannot go to the top. Like I said, an HR person cannot, or IT person cannot, right? So the rules need to be explained very well while offering opportunities fairly. That's all I'm saying.
Hi, ma'am. This is Gayatri here, not your Gayatri Desai.
With a sweet name, yes.
मी मराठीच आहे, महाराष्ट्राची आहे. So I've also read a lot of your books, and everywhere it's mentioned a wonderful power couple, intellectual couple, and the ethics that you all follow. But the trend then, when you were married, till now, the trend is different. And having two boys with this title, equal different, how did you cope from then till now? You have no daughter, you have no girl, so how would you imbibe that kind of values as per this equal trend now?
Sorry, I didn't get that. I have two sons. How do I imbibe?
The equal and different trend that we are talking about in this.
Into them?
Yep.
Well, I think, how do I prep them? I don't know whether equal and different works for them, but certainly I have told my sons that everybody needs to be self-sufficient. And so if the women earn and they're doing all the things that men do, so they drive, they earn, they invest, they do whatever, right? And look after the parents as well. So the boys must also be able to do what the girls do. Then you can't say that I am not going to cook, or I am not going to run the home, or I am not going to, look after children. They have to do whatever. So you have to share the load. When you share the load, you decide. Meaning, my boys are not married, but this is what I would say to them, saying you all figure out what jobs you want to do, what jobs she wants to do, and then you got to distribute them equally, because it's only fair that both people are going out to work, then both people have to contribute to the home. So that is what I have said. And if you read the book, you will find that there are references to what the boys have said, because somewhere down, I think, children imbibe these kind of things. When they've seen a working mother, when they've seen the relationship between a husband and wife, they start learning all these things. And I'm not saying at all that Harsha and I have had equal opportunities. He got a 1 in a million chance. He took it because we decided as a family. I always hoped at that time that he would return the favor. But, opportunity doesn't knock on the same door twice. So I didn't get a 1 in a million opportunity. But it's worked out well. I have certainly compromised on my career, but I have gone into it with open eyes. Like I said, you got to bear the consequences of what. So when you are at peace, saying, this is the best I have done. Life dealt me certain cards, and I've chosen to do whatever. So I've definitely been a stretch player, as you said, because, like I told you, I had enough constraints to be able to make it as an excuse and say, I needn't do anything. Too bad. Husband is not around, so too bad.
But just to answer Gayatri, 15 months ago when this post came to me as chairperson Flow, I had taken 1 day to get back, and I said, I'll take 1 day, talk to my family and get back. Family was husband and son. I know husband, no issues. But I thought son, because he's 15, he'll be taking up his boards. And I sat him down and I said, this opportunity has come to me. What do you think I should do? He just looked up and he said, what do you want to do? Why are you asking me? I can take care of myself, right? So the boys or girls of this generation, they are very, very sorted. They are not the kind who will come and say, okay, help me, support me and all that. They are very clear that if you want to do, if you have the capability, if you have the professional wherewithal, you go ahead and live your dream. So I think, like she said, they are watching us. They are watching the women work equally with the men, take care of the house. Today, if I don't have a cook and I'm working and busy, he's the one who will call up Swiggy, or he's the one who will say, Mama, don't worry. If I say, have you eaten? He says, don't worry, finish your job. So I think this is how our children are of this generation. I'm sure most of you would put up your hands. So just put up your hands and tell me how many kids are like that. I think most of us can vouch for this. And we are lucky, or we are bringing up our children like that, and they are watching us.
It all depends on what you see. There's also a term which is very powerful in the book, which is called mentally feminist, where a lot of men, husbands, fathers, bosses, and even other women believe that they are very progressive, that they are very supportive and things like that. They do all the right talking, but they don't really contribute. It's very easy to say, I give my wife all the freedom. She is doing whatever she wants. I'm very supportive. She's doing great work. But unless they make time for you and free you to be able to invest in yourself, like I said, finally you have to attend conferences, you got to do courses. All this takes time, and you should have that free time. So yes, we are lucky in a way, because I think our children are seeing women in a different form, but I can't say the same thing about everybody.
Any more questions? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Senior Vice Chair President.
You wanted to ask a question?
You wanted to ask?
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for an amazing session. So, ma'am, you've been telling us how women are facing things, and we have been going on guilt trips all the time. So now, what would be your advice? What changes do you hope to see in the next decade regarding women in leadership?
I would like to see women in leadership, more women.
Yeah, so what changes would you like to suggest? 2, 3 changes? Because we know we cannot change the male counterpart. Yeah. What is it that we could do?
So one of the interesting things was, everybody talks about infrastructure, creches, other support systems, more trained people and things like that. I think the conversation should be more at the dining table than in the boardroom, because I think offices automatically comply, and they know now about DEI initiatives and all, but nobody knows what is happening inside homes. There needs to be more support and equal priority so that women get into leadership positions, so that they don't fall off, because it's typically work-life balance, maternity, or transfers that get women to drop off from their careers and not reach leadership positions. So these are the leakage points that need to be blocked. And a lot of it depends on the support that you get at home.
Thank you, ma'am.
There's nobody who's stopping women from going. It's not like, men don't want women over there. The whole ecosystem needs to change.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Senior Vice Chairperson Pratibha Kunda to deliver her vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. A woman is not just the backbone of society, she is its heartbeat. She carries the wisdom of generations in her soul, the fire of resilience in her spirit, and the power to rebuild the world with her bare hands. She is a nurturer, a warrior, a creator, unshaken by storms, yet gentle enough to heal them. To celebrate her is to celebrate life itself. And today, we have done just that. What a wonderful evening this has turned out to be. a hall full of inspiration, stimulating discussions, and the unbreakable spirit of women who truly are equal yet different. On behalf of Flow Hyderabad and Chairperson Priya Gazar, my heartfelt gratitude to each of you for being here today. Your presence and energy have made this celebration of International Women's Day truly special. A huge thank you to our phenomenal speaker, Ms. Anita Bhogle. Your words have ignited a spark, reminding us that equality is not about being the same. It's about embracing our unique strengths and forging our own path. You didn't just give us a talk, you gave us a playbook of success. As we wrap up this year, incredible year, I should say, Priya, I want to sincerely thank each one of the change makers for your dedication and hard work you've put in. And I would like to thank Priya for the Center of Excellence. It's such a thoughtful and a beautiful vision that she's put it together. We all, I think, will really take it forward. To our past chairs, your support and guidance have been our foundation. Thank you for paving the way for all of us and Thrive. A very special shout out to our initiative sponsors, McLean Group. We truly appreciate your generosity, and our creative partner, RBC Worldwide. And today, I think it's also a personal milestone for me, as this is going to be my final vote of thanks. Thank you before I step into my role as chairperson. So as we wrap up this wonderful evening, let's take Anita's insights forward. Let's celebrate our strengths, uplift one another, and continue making strides, because the best way to honor International Women's Day is to live its message every day. Looking forward for another year of collaboration and success with all of you. Please join us for some delightful refreshments and enriching conversations. Let's keep this energy going. Thank you, and see you all on the other side next year as soon as chair. Thanks.
So thank you for having me, and thank you for being a very attentive audience, and for having this wonderful sisterhood. Yeah, there's great power in sisterhood, so keep it going.